Good afternoon, teachers, my parents, and students. I envisioned myself speaking at this very assembly many times last year, so to finally be on stage speaking today is a dream come true. This would not have been possible without the support of some very special people who I'd like to briefly share my appreciation with. I'd like to thank my parents, all the teachers I had last year, you all were amazing. My friends who helped and supported me, including my friend Lucas, who drove me to and from school every day last year. He made me promise that I'd mention him in the speech. And lastly, I'd like to thank my stay-at-home personal tutor who I had all year round. He also happens to be my older brother. His commitment and patience to helping me with my subjects was incredible, so for that I'm very grateful. Now I'll move on to the main purpose of my speech, which is to give some advice to the students of JDC. We will start off with my three-step guide to doing well in a test. Firstly, listen in class. Secondly, study. And lastly, on test day, copy of someone smart if you forgot to do the first two steps. Obviously, I'm kidding. Unfortunately, most of the time I was a smart kid that people copied off, so that didn't work for me anyway. In all seriousness, the best advice I would give to do well in like a math or science assessment would be to do heaps of practice papers / practice questions and do them under timed conditions. It's that second part of my advice of doing it under timed conditions that students often don't do, but is something that is very important. Especially as you move into the senior years, time is just a massive factor in a test. You need to be able to answer questions accurately, but also quickly, because if you don't finish the paper, you could be sacrificing on easy marks. That is where timing your practice tests helps, because it forces you to become quicker and it trains you for the conditions of the actual test. It also means that you technically end up spending less time studying, so it's a win-win. Another piece of advice I would give would be to find out how you can best utilize your calculator. For example, for me, something that really helped me was the ability of like the Gray scientific calculator to be able to store values as variables. And if you don't know how to do that, ask your teacher or look it up online because that is a real time saver. My last major study tip would be to find ways to study efficiently. Many students spend too much time making math notes to use in the calculator allowed section of a math test, which they don't end up using and then throw in the bin. Contrary to popular belief, you don't get extra marks for having the neatest math notes in class. Some of you treat your math notes as like it's the homeroom art challenge or something. Now, I'm definitely in support for making notes, except your main focus should be on practicing. Another method of studying which I found to be inefficient was writing revision notes. I used to do this, but I abandoned it in year 11 because I wasn't utilizing my time. Since then, the technique I used was to start by looking over my past notes, trying to remember as much as possible, going to practice tests, marking them, learning from my mistakes, and then keep practicing challenging questions. If you're in a position where you think your study method is inefficient, I would encourage you to try change it up, because the reward of finding an efficient study method that works for you outweighs the risk of trying something new. Aside from academics, something else that I would recommend is doing community service. Now, JDC has Roncalli service, which I'm sure most students would either make up their hours or just do the bare minimum. But if you haven't done volunteering, I would encourage you to try it out because you might find that you like it. When I was in year 10, I started volunteering at SciTech, which was really fun. I would definitely encourage it for anyone who's STEM-driven like me. And then after around 4 months there, I left and began volunteering at my local youth group called the Sterling Youth Advocates, which I'm still a part of today. And community service has a lot of other benefits. For example, you make new friends, it's fun, you expand your network, it's desirable for job applications, and community service is usually a major requirement for any merit-based scholarships. And yeah, without my extensive volunteering, I wouldn't have got the John Curtin undergraduate scholarship that Curtin has currently offered me. So do volunteering and apply for scholarships, especially when you're in year 11 and 12, because that's free money. You should just apply for it. Before I conclude my speech, I would just like to finish off by saying that use the time you have at school to the fullest. Try out different clubs, different co-curricular activities, because it's usually the opportunities you get from trying these different things and the experiences you get from them that you will cherish the most once you graduate. And yeah, just before I finish, I would like to say that I do tutoring, so if you need tutoring in maths, physics, or chem, if you can find me on Instagram, reach out. So finally, good luck to all the students and teachers for the year ahead, and thank you for listening to my speech.